Being an only child, I was really good at making friends and moved around a bit as well. So I did I think 7 or 8 schools in 11 years. So it's just a matter of being thrown in the deep end and pretty much had to make friends a lot. As a teenager, I was a brat. Because my parents split when I was 16 and I'd left school, so I was working full time. I was hanging out with 21-year-old guys that were into illicit stuff, and yeah, I've seen some stuff that I don't want the youth kids to see. And again, another reason why Candice and I have such a heart for youth, and me especially. I used to joke around with Joel all the time that he should bring his sister to indoor cricket, and he used to just tell me that I'd never have a chance and that there was no way that it was ever going to happen. I put the charm on at indoor cricket and offered her my jacket as well, and I asked her out and she said she had to think about it, left me hanging for about 3 or 4 days. So when Candice finally accepted my dating request, I used to drive her to church and drop her off on Sunday morning. When I picked her up an hour and a half later, she gave me a 40-minute lesson on the service and an understanding of what was happening. And I remember driving home sometimes and I was just like, had no understanding of what was happening, what she was on about. And she just said, it was so good, it was so good. I remember I dropped her off in the car park and she said, all right, I'll see you in an hour and a half. And I said, oh, do you mind if I come in? Am I allowed to come in? And just the big smile on her face sort of was encouraging enough to sort of come in the doors. And then the first person I met when I walked through the doors was obviously Kim Otto, and that's infectious enough to make you stay, I think. So Kim has agape, unconditional love for the people in the church, and she's not afraid to show that to anyone that walks through that door. It doesn't matter who they are, what their problems are or anything like that. She's the first one to say hello and give them a hug, whether they like it or not. I felt welcome, and yeah, it's just that family sort of vibe in the church that sort of makes you want to stay, and kept me coming back like the next week to see what it was all about. So, like within the first 3 weeks of being here, I had that alcohol addiction broken off of me. That yeah, was amazing, and something that I knew was real. That's how I knew God was real. Candice and I love to serve at church because we want to set the atmosphere for people that walk in the church that have been there for 20 years, been there for 20 weeks, have been there for 20 days. It was their first time. We want them to be able to understand as soon as they walk through the door, they feel that the presence of God is in the room, and that it's an immediate difference from what they know and what the world's trying to put on them. The church is a home for us, and I believe everyone's, whether it's in the kitchen to ushering, to tithes and offerings, to preaching, to youth, to counting people's heads as they walk in. I think everyone has the right spot to serve, and they just have to be willing to do it. We want God to use us as much as possible. We want God to use us in the way that He wants to, and not the way we want to. So that means sacrificing time to do stuff that we don't want to do, but that's what serving is. Our summer blitz this year was ridiculously busy. It was an awesome movement. Interaction from the kids was massive in services. They were so engaged in praise and worship, and it was just amazing to see so many young kids, 140 young kids, fully engaged in church and singing and jumping and sweating ridiculously and not going to sleep and keeping me up till 3 a.m. But it's just one of those things that like, this is a sacrifice for the kingdom. I'll sacrifice my sleep for the kingdom if it means I have to monitor kids till 3 a.m. So it was great. I spoke to my boss about it, explained what Summer Blitz was, and that it was important for me and important to me, and they said that's fine, you just have to take it as unpaid leave if you want to do it. So yeah, there's times where I've regretted it, but I'm looking forward to next week's paycheck, I'll tell you that much. again, money is only a temporary thing, so the impact that God had on these kids' lives over Summer Blitz is something that will last with them forever. So it's a wise investment. Doesn't matter how much it costs us. I love our church so much. I love our church family, and I love coming here every Sunday and every other day walking to help Candace. And yeah, this is literally our home, and I do use my front door key to try and get in here a couple of times a week. So it is somewhere that we feel welcome and that we feel like we can be a part of for a long time.